Hello to you, my fellow printer dweebs. You're very welcome to another episode of Community News from 3D Jake. All the news from the community and what's going on with us too. I'm joining you from the 3D Jake office in the center of Graz in southern Austria, a country that has public holidays almost every week in May. Here's what's going on in 3D printing right now. Okay, first up is what is new in the shop, and 3D Maker Pro are coming out with a new budget scanner. This is going to be the 3D Maker Pro Fox. It's coming out at €229. CAD is hard, or at least getting into CAD is hard when you're a beginner, and very few beginners want to pay for a 3D scanner that costs more than their printer. There are basically three choices that they have. One is learn CAD, two is scan, and three is use AI. For detailed work, you just can't use AI. It makes too many mistakes. You can't perfectly reverse engineer something using AI and just photographing it. So you have to scan or CAD, but if you do scan, then you generally do have to do a little bit of CAD afterwards anyway. But for home use, it's quite different because maybe you have a broken appliance which can be easily fixed with just a simple printed part. In this case, it's very, very easy to be tempted to use AI. You just take a photo of the part, import it into some sort of AI 3D model generator, and yeah, you get a part back. And it's hopefully you don't need to use CAD for it, but usually it's simple enough that you don't have to use CAD. It makes sense to use AI if cost saving and efficiency are your concerns, and I think because of this, we're going to see a widening gap in the scanning category. We'll see a lot more like cheaper scanners like the Fox, but we'll also see more expensive scanners that are more suited to industrial or commercial use. And we'll probably see less mid-range options because of this. And I think 3D Maker Pro kind of see this as well, and that's why we're seeing more budget scanners these days. I'm intrigued by this guy. I am. I want to try it. It does say that it uses AI recognition to track the object. You just can't get away from it these days. I think that's more of a machine learning algorithm than what AI means in the common vernacular these days. But this has an accuracy of 0.07 millimeters, a resolution of 0.1 millimeters. The frame rate is relatively low at 10 FPS. It doesn't use visible light, it uses near infrared, and it doesn't scan color. This is pretty standard for a budget scanner. It's just a lower price, but it looks cool. I want to try it. We also have new Panchroma Colours. These are very pretty matte and muted colours. Seafoam, green, raspberry blue, coral, teal, and terracotta. They're gorgeous. I want these. Okay, first up in wider news, the community is aflame with this. Bambu are in hot water again, this time for their handling of an Orca fork by independent Polish developer Paweł Jarczak. He released an Orca fork that restores functionality for using Orca Slicer with Bambu printers and their cloud that was previously taken away in their authorization control firmware update last year. Bambu threatened Paweł with a cease and desist notice, arguing that with this fork, Paweł was impersonating Bambu Studio to the cloud, bypassing the authorization control, violating terms of use, and reverse engineering Bambu's code. And because of this, Paweł took down the fork from GitHub. Now, the reason that this is a big deal is because the software is open source, it's AGPL licensed. Bambu Studio is essentially a fork of Prusa Slicer, which is a fork of Slick3 before that. Under AGPL terms, one can change things. If it is distributed or used publicly, then the source must also be shared. And Paweł asked them to specify what exactly they objected to in the fork in a legal sense, but stated that he did not receive precise technical or legal clarification on Bambu's reasoning for the objection. Bambu consequently followed up publicly with a blog post clarifying their motives, mostly centering on the problems of the fork allowing unauthorized commands to be sent to the printer and their cloud service. However, Paweł states on his GitHub that the workaround is only possible because Bambu never disabled this path for the Linux version. Paweł took this and used it for his Orca fork, so it always existed. Since then, people in the community are banding together. Louis Rossmann, Gamers Nexus, Jeff Geerling, Leonard French offering support to Paweł and highlighting the issue. In fact, Paweł shared his fork with Louis Rossmann, who uploaded it to the Fulu Foundation GitHub, and as of recording today, it now has over 5,000 forks. Since then, the Software Freedom Conservancy has also chimed in and launched their Baltobu project to reverse engineer several Bambu Studio libraries, host the fork, act as a watchdog for further Bambu violations, and launch a committee to discuss software freedom and rights in the 3D printing community. And so far, the SFC have raised over $100,000 for this project. Our aim with the 3DJ Community News Series is not to take sides, but to report on what is going on in the community. So to not report on this would be ignoring our primary goal. Make of the facts as you will, and set the comment section ablaze if you wish. In more collaborative news, Prusa recently announced their version of Ratdoux' Snapmaker Orca full spectrum feature. If you're not familiar with this, it is where filament colors can be mixed layer by layer with very small layers to make other colors. So if you have a CMYK or CMYW, or even better, CMYKW color selection, you can print many colors. Not all color mixes work, just because if you want, for example, a very, very light color, imagine you're mixing yellow and white to make a very, very light yellow. The more white you add, the more noticeable it is as separate bands, but you can still get a really wide range of colors with this, and it makes 5-tool printers or 5-nozzle printers a lot more desirable. So obviously Prusa and Prusa Academy are testing this with the XL as it has 5 tools, but we're also looking forward to seeing it being introduced with the Core Series printers when their Bondtech Index collaboration is ready for the public. Of course, you can still do this with a 4-tool printer like the U1 behind me, but I'm really looking forward to trying it with 5 tools. Also, regarding full spectrum, Snapmaker recently announced that they have hired Ratdoux to help lead color mixing for them, which is great news, and we wish all of them the best in their new initiative. Okay, next up is Creality's Klitek? This was just announced this week, so there's pretty much zero information about it right now. But with the tech suffix, I'm guessing it's a nozzle swapper like Vortec. But some people in the community are also saying it's more like Index. And from the images that they did post, it does look more like Index than Vortec. But more info should be released today, actually, because this video is being released on Friday 29th. It's their anniversary that day. 12th anniversary? 12th anniversary, yeah. So there's probably been quite a bit more information that has been added in the last few hours. Check it out. Next up, and I really love these stories when 3D printing is used for real good in the world, OpenBionics have expanded their Hero Flex prosthetic for above-the-elbow amputees. If you're not familiar with OpenBionics, you should become familiar with them. They are a UK-based 3D printed prosthetics manufacturing company specializing in below-the-elbow prostheses. I first became aware of them like almost 7 years ago when they partnered with James Cameron and 20th Century Fox to make Alita-inspired hero arms for double amputee Tilly Lockey. But now they're beginning to make prostheses for above the elbow. And it's not like this is in the research stage or just in prototype stage or anything like that. It's done. A patient has been fitted and they went home the same day. Traditional prostheses are out of reach for a lot of people, but using 3D printing, the manufacturing and customization of them is far easier and cheaper. And last year, a ruling in the US recognized that 3D printing is a reimbursable fabrication method in the prosthetic sector, making them easier to be prescribed and, crucially, for insurers to cover them under their plans. In more tech news, Lynxter, a French elastomer producer, has launched SIL-004. This is a 3D printable platinum-cured liquid silicone that is suitable for direct contact with food. Now, this is currently only available with Lynxter's devices, which sort of use a similar process to direct ink writing, but advances like this will pave the way for more affordable devices that can print silicones. And we recently saw both Rapid Liquid Print's gel-based silicone printing and Prusa's silicone printing collaboration for the XL. Yeah, it's definitely out of reach for most people these days, but the area is expanding rapidly and becoming cheaper. Having the ability to create complex geometries with silicone that is food safe, flexible of course, and heat resistant without the use of tooling or molding is opening up many new applications, and this is something to keep an eye on. Okay, that about does it for this month. As always, links to all the stories and products are down below in the description. Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you didn't know, we have a Discord server where there is printer talk on a daily basis. We'll be back with another video next week, so until then, later.